Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So, Telmo, thanks for allowing me to present what this is just kind of a summary of the vision of the digital ag, what is going on in the US, and trying to present some of the main topics that we are investigating. So some of these things, as Telmo was saying, there are many things that we are doing in collaboration. So many of the things that I will be presenting today are part of the exchange of students. They are students that are coming to my team, that they are just sitting down there. So many of the things that you will be seeing here is basically the fruit of this great collaboration with Professor Telmo. So before we start, I think that we need to define what is a digital and precision agriculture. So we will go into definition of digital and precision agriculture. I will show some examples of where we are moving on remote sensing. I will show examples on what are the things that we're doing on the satellite, using satellite data. Then, very short, I will try to show what is going on with the use of drones. Drones has been something that everyone started using in the past, but today has different implications. So I will show what happened from the beginning of usage of drones and where we are standing today on using drone technology. Then we will be touching very briefly about machinery. So I will show some of the main things that we are seeing coming on the machinery side. And then last point, we will be discussing a little bit about the digital ag technologies. Just to discuss the evolution of the digital ag and where are we going from there. Before we start, I think that I like to show this graph. Okay, this is from a review that was published in 2004. And it kind of, in a very simple diagram, it shows the complexity of precision ag. So we came all the way from working on machines, and all the way the evolution as today that we are working on systems of the systems. Okay, so we have machines that they communicate, as many of our speakers discussed this morning, and we have data that is coming from different sources, weather information, yield monitor, soil data, and the question is how we can convert all these different data layers in taking decisions. Because at the end of the day, what farmers are looking is for final action, okay, decisions. So let's start with what is digital agriculture. So I propose this term. For me, when I'm thinking about digital agriculture, is use of scientific data and then adding this section of computational techniques. But the main goal, and to keep it simple, is to improve the farming decision-making process. That's the main goal when we are thinking about how we are using digital agriculture. Now when we move to the precision agriculture, for me, precision agriculture is really about input optimization, increasing farming efficiency. Okay? If I can increase productivity without increasing profits, that is not good for any farmer. So for me, precision agriculture is really the art of executing the agricultural plan. And for that, we are using diverse type of tools. This is some of the things that maybe you have in mind or not, but we are going from robotics, remote sensing, predictive agriculture, precision planting, use of drones, precision spraying, and then one of the big topics that we are including in the last years, the crop modeling, how we are integrating crop modeling into precision ag. So again, if we are thinking about the digital technologies, we need to think about how are we integrating those technologies and how are we developing tools. At the end of the day, when I'm discussing with any farmers, I usually say this phrase, and we say, farmers, they need technology, but they need technology that really can deliver. If we build technologies that are too complex, farmers will never adopt it. If we build technologies that they are easy to use and they meet the needs of the farmers, then the farmers will be adopting the technologies and those technologies will make an impact. So let's start going very briefly to some of the examples, and some of the challenges that we are facing on some of these disciplines. On the remote sensing, and then specifically thinking about satellite, here is what happened in the last, I would say, more than 50 years. So if you look at the last more than 50 years, we went from very low resolution satellites, really hard to see anything, okay? Many times when someone was talking about satellite, we just blank. We just didn't even thought about how satellite was helping on precision ag. But if you think now, the evolution of the satellite, so today we are in 2019, and then everyone is discussing about new satellites. And if you look at the news every week, you have a new company launching 10,000 satellites, 20,000 satellites, okay? And then we're becoming more precise. Maybe in 2 years, we will be talking about satellites that they will be identifying disease, pest. We will be talking about satellites that will be helping us to look at water content, how it's changing the soil moisture in many soils. So that is how satellite was evolving. And if you look at the one important point in 1987 was the moment that we have one of our first yield monitor. So imagine today the importance and the relevancy of yield monitor information. But I would say that in the last 5 years was the time that we really find a good use for the yield monitor information. And we are finding good uses because we have more services, more companies that they provide services, and then the farmers are getting to use that information as decision support tools, okay? So the yield monitor basically is included on these tools, and farmers can take decision based on using that information. This is something that happens, I think that was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, this is one of the most, I would say, recognized precision ag magazines in the US, and then this was the title of the magazine. So the title is saying that satellite is back on the map. I mean, satellite never was out. I mean, satellite has been with us since 1970s. The problem is we never learned how to use it. And now we have more companies, we have more startups, we have more digital tools that we can start integrating satellite information to take decisions. So if you look at the last 3 years, I would say today, any farmer open up the emails and then you have a picture of your field. If you think about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that was impossible, okay? The question now is how we move forward from a picture that looks very nice and has nice colors to something that is an action, to take decisions, okay? And this is the revolution of remote sensing, because many times we say satellites are really good, use of drones is very labor intensive. So I will show in 1 second what happened with the drones. So let's take a look to different options. So, I mean, this is one of my exchange students that is working with us, and Telmo, so Rai put together this slide so we can get credit where the credit is going. And then if you look at the different options on satellite, so here is one of the first options, and what you are seeing on the screen is the resolution. This is the resolution, what you can see when we are using the MODIS. MODIS is one of the satellite. You can get an image every 1 day, and the resolution is 250 meters. This is another one, new satellites, ProAV, 100 meters resolution, 1 day. So can you see the change from the previous image to this one? I will ask, I mean, if you are not, I mean, you will see what I'm going. So the next one, Landsat. And Landsat is every 16 days, and then it's a 30-meter resolution. So if you look at the images, they're all from the same place, from the same field. But now you can see even more clearly. This one is a Sentinel-2. It's every 5 days, you can get a picture. It's a 10-meter resolution. So what happened if you put all together? So this is evolution of the satellite data. So today we can get very high resolution satellite. In the past, we were focused on very low resolution. We were looking at counties, municipalities. We were looking at regions of the state, states. Today we can look at fields. When a farmer is asking me, can you take a look to my field? I say, yes. I can go inside and see what's going on and recognize where there are sections of the field that they are low NDVI or low greenness, and that is a very important point to start making changes in the management. Sometimes when we talk to farmers, we say, how much resolution is good resolution? This is an excellent question. Many times when you discuss with farmers, they say, I want more resolution, I want more resolution. And I say, wait, what are you planning to use it for? So here is an example of a farmer, central Kansas, okay? Only, the size of this field is only 50 acres. Very small field. But look, take a look to the different images. These images were taken almost at the same time. The first one is from the drones. The second one is from Landsat, lower resolution, and the last one is from Sentinel, high resolution. When I talk to the farmer, I ask, which one would you like the most, and which one would make an impact on taking a management decision? You know which one was the answer for that farmer? The one that is Sentinel. Why? Because if you look at the data from the drone, it's too much variability. And too much variability means that he cannot even handle the variability with the equipment that he has. The size of the equipment is too big. And he cannot basically do whatever rate or whatever fertilization in a section that is only like 10 by 10 meters. So too much resolution for that farmer was not needed. He only wanted to identify sections of the field that they were low yielding, the red areas, and sections of the field that they were high yielding, the green areas. And that gives you an example of the first step before you get into the precision ag is identifying variability. If you cannot identify the variability, it's really hard to use any precision ag tools. So what happened with the drones? Because it looks like everything seems to be too negative. So wait 1 second. It's not that negative. So the drones are very small. They're inexpensive. They have a lot of flexibility. Many times I want to get a satellite picture from my field today. I'm going to the cloud to look at the picture and I'm seeing that the quality is bad. And the quality is bad because it was a cloudy day. Okay? And there are some sections of the country that it's really hard to get sunny days. And if you don't have any sunny day, the probability to get a good satellite data is really low. So this is what drones can help us to have flexibility, to get higher quality data. And the advantage to satellite basically is the flexibility and the less susceptibility to weather. I mean, the satellite data is quite susceptible. Still, we are improving, and I think that we will improve in the next years. But with a drone, if I want to get a picture of my field today, I can just go to the field, plan the mission, and set it out, and I can get a picture on that field in 5 or 10 minutes, very quickly. We will discuss a little bit more how we are planning to integrate modeling using drones or using data, imagery, and trying to make these tools and these data layers as a more actionable items. But this is what happened with drones. A little bit about history on drones. So if you look at the first drones, look at the size of that. Those were like, around 1980s, okay, 1990s. Pictures that they have multiple problems because many times they were collecting pictures, near-infrared pictures, red color pictures, poor quality, problems with the camera, problems with the processing, because if you talk to anyone, they say, oh, it takes me 5 or 7 days to process that data. Wait, it takes 5 to 7 days to process one field? Okay, many times people was back to the office. You never, ever, you were able to go to the field and take a picture immediately. You are telling to the farmer, I will go back to the office and I will get back to you in 10 days. The farmer is gone. The farmer needs a decision today, not 10 days. And then if you look at the picture, the main challenges was by the time that you were delivering the picture, 2 weeks after, the conditions of the field were totally different. So totally failure. Everyone was like, drones, they will be gone. This is what happened with drones today. So we are becoming a little more fancy, sometimes too expensive. And then look at the quality of resolution. Now, I can even detect an insect on the top of the leaf if I want. Okay? And now we are going from cameras that are more stable. We have gimbals, so they move in one direction. Now we have internet connection, so we have cloud. We can do computing on the go. And we can deliver different type of information. We can deliver maps, NDVI, different sensors. I mean, even different changes on the crop, on size, using the crop surface, or even changes on the canopy, on the temperature of the crop. So we can also even know if the crop is under stress or not. So what is the future? Where are the drones going, and what are the challenges for this technology? The main challenges is that today, buying a drone is really cheap and expensive. What is really expensive is buying the sensors. I can go and buy a drone with no problem. It's $500. I can crash it and buy a new one. But when someone, and it happens, goes out and crashes the drone with sensors, I'm not happy. Okay? Those sensors are really expensive. Usually, sensors that they can detect different spectra are $10,000. Hyperspectral sensor is $50,000. So today, we move from the platform to sensors. The platforms, they work. You can get any drone that you want. The challenge is what type of data are you getting. And today we are moving on something that is trying to establish a process that will be on the go. This will be the future. We will be planning the mission, collecting the data goes to the cloud, and we can take an immediate decision. We have a few platforms that we are testing this year that they are already doing that. We are flying, and in 30 minutes, we can get a map in the tablet, in the field. So that means that that farmer can start taking an action immediately, in 30 minutes only. A couple of things on the machinery, just to start closing all the review on this. We have a few examples. I will put an example of some of the research that we did with Dr. Telmo, the variable rate, automatic weeding solutions, multi-hybrid. So this picture is, from another student that was a PhD student working with Telmo. So we are exporting many Brazilians to US, many of the good ones. So this is a PhD study from Jamar. This is something that we did on the seeing rates. And this is some information that we have from collaborations with Nebraska that is on the multi-hybrid. So, how many of you have irregular fields? Everyone, right? How many of you have this problem in the past? Many. It's a very common issue. All the time you see areas of the field that we tend to double plant. We solve it very simply. We have the automatic section control, and the automatic section control on planters today is something that no one discussed. It's there. And basically that technology helps to avoid double planting. No one really measured exactly what are the benefits of avoiding double planting. So this research was one of the first one that gives you some information of what happened if you are double planting. So here is an example of a farmer that was double planting versus using the technology. And these are examples that we need to get. This is the type of research that we need to show that the precision ag technologies, they work. Just very simple example, but it shows that if you put more seeds, you are decreasing the yields. Specifically in sections of the field that you shouldn't be planting double, specifically when you have stress conditions. If you are in a field that you are expecting to be heat or drought, this situation of double planting it will add more stress and you will get penalized by yields. This is a very simple technology, very applied, very useful, and it's moving forward multiple more engagements now in precision planting. Variable rate seeding, okay? Variable rate seeding in corn, we know. Many times we say, as we have better yields, you need to increase your density, right? All the time. In soybeans, many times people didn't want to talk about variable rate. Variable rate on soybeans, something that I don't want to touch it. So on corn, you see that as we are increasing yields, the shape of the response is different, so it's going up. Now in soybeans, we have a study that also conducted here in Brazil, data from Embrapa on soybeans. I mean, Jomar was also leading that project, working with Professor Telmo. And then what we found is that usually the optimal seeding rate on soybeans increase in low yielding areas. So which means that in high yielding areas, when you guys are getting 3, 4, 5 tons, usually the optimal seeding rate for soybeans is 200,000 plants, very good. In poor areas of the field, it's opposite to corn. In many times we say in a very poor area of the field, you should be reducing the seeding rates in corn. On soybeans, we found that you should be increasing the seeding rates. And this is not only for Brazil, we did this study in Argentina, and we did this study in the US, and in all the 3 countries, we found exactly the same. That in low yielding areas, we should be increasing the seeding rates on soybeans, okay? In the time of questions, I could explain more why, okay? Multi-hybrid, so this was a technology that everyone discussed many times. There were new planters. So there was a big study. I borrowed some of the presentations slides from Nebraska. They used multiple on-farm studies looking at defensive and offensive hybrids and trying to understand when they can use hybrid and multi-hybrid planters. The results are very clear, and if you want to read just one of the last bullet points, is saying economically, a single hybrid should be planted in all the fields, which means that our variability on corn hybrids in the US is not enough yet to do variable hybrid selection in the field. And of course, there was a mixed results, but based on what we are seeing here, we have a lot of people talking in the last 5 years about multi-hybrid, and then after last year, I have less and less people talking about this technology. And why they're not talking about this technology is because if the technology doesn't seem to provide a profit, and it seems to be too complex for the farmer to be adopting this, it's gone. Or at least it will be gone until someone can find the right environments to use the technology. A couple of the things that are coming is these ideas of autonomous. So we discussed a lot of things, with different machinery companies about autonomous just driving in the field and detecting weeds. Here is one example, one device, basically driving in the field, using RTK straight, basically detecting weeds. Another example from John Deere, using artificial intelligence imagery to detect section of the fields within the row, and everything that is different shape, and outside of the row is a weed, okay? And the idea is to use like a similar technology like a face recognition to start detecting weeds in the field and kill those weeds, as they are going using sensors that they usually are connected to the tool. So just to close, we have different type of new digital tools. These tools are tools that basically need to empower the farmers. They need to be quick. They need to be easy to use. Most of the times, if they are not easy to use, farmers will never adopt it. One clear message for all the farmers and agronomists on this Congress: the digital tools will never replace the agronomist. The digital tools, the only thing that they will do is they will increase our efficiency. But they will never replace any agronomists. In fact, we will become better agronomists because of the tools. And if you look at what happened in the last years, the role of the farmers and agronomists is really evolving. We are looking basically not just as a farmers, but also as entrepreneurs. And the main question that remains in many times in this type of presentations and for the future is how quickly we can adapt. Because in many times the technology is moving too fast. And the main question that remains in many situations is how quickly we can adapt to all these new startups, all this new technology, and all this new movement of data-driven decisions. You will see many logos, because it means that there are multiple platforms. And if I didn't include one of your logos, don't worry. You are also included there. Anyone will be included. These are all the potential different platforms that the farmers are using today. And then I use some of the slides. I have a colleague from Ohio State, John Fulton, so I asked him to share with me some slides, and then we have a project. We discuss about data sharing. Data sharing is one of the key aspects. And then we did a survey, and we obtained that today, 92% of the people is willing to share data. They say that 66% of the farmers in the US, they share the data with 2 or more people. And they usually say that share the data with the agronomist or consultant. And many times, everyone that is sharing the data has a high expectation. So, which means that if I'm sharing the data as a farmer, with you, I will be expecting a return. Okay? 70% of the farmers say that they are really looking for the value of that data, for the return of value. So if you're thinking about what are the things that, farmers, using digital technologies, we ask some of these questions to the farmers, and they say 77%, they only are basically using smartphones or tablets, okay? Many times farmers, they don't use a computer, they use just on the smartphone or tablets. They were saying that 96% of the farmers, they collect, basically they want to get decisions. They don't want to just the data. They want to get the management decisions. And basically, at this point, 90% of the farmers are using some type of digital ag tool. This survey 3 years ago will show only 10% or less. This survey shows that now, at least more than 90% of the farmers are using some type of digital tool. And in many cases, they are using those tools because they are looking for prescriptions, seeding rate or fertilization. So this is what, taking that slide from him, since we share the similar view of what is the future, this is what a future might look like. As everyone was showing today, machines connecting, communicating, people are basically sharing data to the cloud and taking decisions real time, okay? Real-time decisions, and this will be one of the future in what we call the Internet of Things, basically. Everything connected, everything, coordinated, and then farmers just taking decisions based on data. That's the most important part. The decisions are based on data. So just to close, the digital, and the precision ag is evolving and has been evolving the last 3 decades, very fast. But believe it or not, we are still very young, okay? And it will take us time to catch up with everything. For sure, the mode of how we are delivering information has changed. We are not allowed to get or share PDFs. Don't send me a PDF. We are looking for actions. We are looking for information so I can take a decision. We don't want to see a picture. I can print pictures and put it on my office. I want to see data that can be converted into actions. The challenge for the future, and for many of you guys that are in the audience, is accelerate. What is the pace of innovation? And what we need to do as a farmers, scientists, research, we need to remove all the barriers, everything, to make sure that you guys, our farmers, our main capital can adopt this technology. And then just to finish, I think that I remarked this information before, we need to be prepared because there will be a lot of changes in the years to come, but we also need to start thinking about how we're taking advantage of all the changes. There will be plenty of opportunities for farmers to take advantage and to embrace the use of these new digital tools. With that, I have just exactly the time, so I will close. Thanks.